What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another one of Hoggie's beer reviews, and yes, this is another quick beer review on the webcam. And for the record, take everything with a grain of salt because I have had quite a few, not quite a few, but I got some alcohol in my system, so keep that in mind. But this review is for a beer that a lot of people have requested, and it's a beer that a lot of people are familiar with as far as imports go. This is Tsingtao Chinese beer, and I picked this up because I saw the 2013 commemorative pack, 2013 Year of the Snake. So I figured out, what the hell, right? And this is imported from China. Tsingtao, Chinese beer. Now, remember, even though I'm wearing the New England hat, I am from Miami, I am from South Florida, I am from Cuban town, okay? And Cubans love this beer. Because Cubans love Heineken, and this is reminiscent of Heineken. But aside from that, it's the name, Tsingtao. Cubans call it Tsingtao. Tsingtao, because para un cubano, for Cubans, Tsingtao means something completely different. And we just chuckle and giggle at the name of this beer. But here is the beer, Tsingtao. This is imported from China. Brewed by Tsingtao Brewery in Qingdao, China. Mandarin, okay? Chinese, the language, Mandarin, it's a tonal language. I love that shit. It's hilarious. It's interesting because we're not used to that shit. See, over there it's all about tone. You can have the exact same word, but it all depends how you pronounce it. For example, Tsingtao could be beer. Tsingtao could be I'm fucking your mother. Not to be crass or anything, but that's how different it can be. Same word, different pronunciation, you get different shit. That's Mandarin for you. Anyway, Tsingtao beer imported from China. This is supposed to be a quick webcam review. I hope I don't run long. We'll leave it at that. Now, I used to drink a lot of Heineken. Back in the day, me and my boys, the guys I used to drink beer with, when we thought Heineken was the shit, we used to call this the Chinese Heineken because it has that green bottle and it has that, slightly more bitter, slightly more robust flavor compared to your typical American lagers, the Buds and the Millers, etc. So this was the Chinese Heineken. And it's actually interesting because if you go into the history of Tsingtao beer, it was the Tsingtao Brewery was founded in 1903 by German settlers. It was originally a joint German-British venture within China. Now, it was privatized in the early 1900s, and at that point, the recipe changed. Originally, since the part of the original brewers were German, this was brewed with the German purity law, which means water, barley, yeast, hops. That's it. 4 ingredients. That's your German purity law. Okay? No adjuncts, no corn, no rice. When it was privatized in the 1990s, they did away with that shit and they started using rice. So this is now an adjunct lager, and typical of Chinese and Asian beers, rice is the main adjunct. It's also interesting to note that Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, used to own stock in this beer. At one point, they owned about 27% of Tsingtao Brewery. They have since sold it all off. It is now fully owned by, I believe, Chinese and Asian interests. So this is Tsingtao, imported from China. Been imported into the United States for quite some time. I was drinking it in the very late 90s, so it's been around for a bit. And just in case you guys are wondering, Hoggie's history and all that, in the early 2000s, 03, 04, something like that, I spent quite a few months, 4, 5, 6 months, something like that, working at P.F. Chang's. Obviously, a lot of you know P.F. Chang's, a large nationwide franchise Chinese food, restaurant, and of course they sold a shitload of Tsingtao there. So that being said, I think we're done with the backstory. Tsingtao beer, Beer Advocate, out of 800 ratings, it scores a 66. Okay, categorized as an American adjunct lager, 4.8% alcohol by volume. Jumping over to Rate Beer, categorized as a premium lager from China, out of wow, out of 1,469 total ratings, 1,469 ratings, it scores a 6 overall. 4.8% alcohol by volume. They don't seem to like it much. And that's it. I'm going to class it up a little, do a little justice. Got the Pilsner glass. I always used to drink these at the bottle because when I was drinking these, at the house or, with the boys in the streets, whatever, it was just a 6-pack straight out the bottle. Let's class it up in the glass. Kind of like they would do at PF Chang's, I guess. And yes, 2013 Chinese calendar. It's the year of the snake. If anybody's wondering, Hoggie is a monkey. I was born during the year of the monkey. I'm a metal monkey. I don't know how many of you know anything about the Chinese horoscope. Not Chinese horoscope, Chinese calendars, Chinese astrology. I am a metal monkey. And I could actually go a lot deeper into it, but it's so fucking convoluted, I won't. I believe my wife is a water buffalo or a water pig, something like that. I won't go into that. Anyways, I believe my son was born year of the dragon. Anyways, here's the beer. A lot of carbonation, pale straw color, fizzy head, pop pop fizz. In the glass, this looks like your standard adjunct lager. The head is sticking around for a bit though, so that's a good sign. Does look good in the glass. That is the full bottle. And once again, I've had a few, so forgive me. This is going to be a quick beer review on the webcam. I'm running along. Oh well. Smells like an adjunct lager. It's not the offensive corn smell. As an adjunct, rice is less offensive and less off-putting than corn. Rice does not smell anywhere near as strong as corn. This smells very bland, very tame, very nothingy. Get a little bit of malt in there. A little bit of sharp smells. I would hope and guess that's kind of a lemony, lemongrassy kind of bland hop bitterness there. But the smell, the nose of this beer is very mild. So, yeah, let's just taste it. And there we go. That's what it comes down to. This beer is great for washing down Kung Pao chicken. Some Mugai Pan. You know what I mean? Something along those lines. There's not a lot of flavor. There's not a lot going on. It's light. It's crisp. It's carbonated. You know, much like, you know, even though I hate Bud Light and I don't drink those kind of beers, if you give me one and some pizza, it'll do a good job washing down the pizza, and that's what we're at. There's really no hop bite towards the end. There's really not a lot of malt body. It's similar to your standard American, you know, kind of watered down beer. Almost a light beer, really. What I will say about this beer is that compared to a lot of other adjunct lagers, the Coronas, the MGDs, High Life, Old Milwaukee's, those kinds of beers, this is very tame, very inoffensive. The adjunct is rice, like we already talked about, you know, so the flavor is not kind of in your face. It's smooth, it's simple, it's almost tasteless. You kind of get a grainy, husky character, but there's not a lot of malt, not a lot of hops, not a lot of body. It's just, you know, fizzy and watery. This is, you know, your prototype fizzy yellow beer. I'll drink this over Busch any day of the week, but this is not something I would ever seek out. If you're at a restaurant, you're eating Chinese food, and you want to wash down your food with a beer, you know, you want a beer to wash down your food, you're not drinking for the buzz, you're not drinking for the taste, then you're good to go. So, for the style, okay, because I really have nothing else to say about this beer because there's nothing really going on with this beer. So for the style, for an adjunct lager, an Asian adjunct lager, and I've had quite a few Asian adjunct lager. Asian adjunct lager, say that 3 times fast. I've had quite a few, some are worse than others. So far I think the worst I've had is Chang from Thailand. That's just really bad. This is one of the better ones. I'll put this up there with is Sapporo an adjunct lager? I'm not sure. Well, regardless, I'll put it up there with one of the better ones to have with food. But it's still not great. And with that said, let me get the hell out of here. I think I've worn out my welcome with Hoggie's heavily buzzed beer review. Okay? For an adjunct lager, for what it is. For an adjunct lager, glass half full. Overall, As a regular beer, damn near a glass empty because it's an adjunct lager. But I mean, with adjunct lagers, you could do a whole lot worse. This, for what it is pretty damn doable, especially with food. Those are my final thoughts. Once again, thanks to you guys for tuning in. Remember, Hoggie's Beer on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, huggiesbeer.com, and all that other good stuff. And stay tuned. There's a lot more coming down the pipe. Cheers. Cheers, salut, and however you say that stuff in Chinese, Japanese, Thai, and Korean. Peace.